The call came in at 3:12 a.m., and the caller ID showed my own number. And I remember just staring at the screen for a second, thinking it had to be some kind of system glitch, because that wasn't possible, not from inside the call center, not from my own phone sitting powered off in my locker down the hall. But the phone kept ringing, steady and patient, like whoever, or whatever, was on the other end knew I was looking at it and waiting for me to pick up. And that's when I noticed something worse. The call timer had already started counting before I even answered. My name's Ryan Keller. I was 26 at the time, working night shifts at a customer support call center in Omaha because it paid a little extra for overnight hours. And, honestly, I liked the quiet. Fewer people, fewer supervisors watching over your shoulder. Just rows of cubicles under dim fluorescent lights, the constant low hum of computers, and the occasional ring of incoming calls breaking the silence. The job itself was simple. Answer calls, log issues, escalate when needed. Repeat. But nights had this strange atmosphere to them, like the building never fully settled, like it stayed half awake with you. Security cameras mounted in every corner, a guard occasionally walking the halls, the soft buzz of the vending machines in the break room, and those long, empty corridors leading to locked offices you never had a reason to enter. Most shifts blurred together, answering calls from insomniacs, late-night workers, people in different time zones, nothing unusual. Until that night, when the call from my own number came in, and after staring at it for a few seconds too long, I finally picked up, pressing the headset closer as I said, "Thank you for calling support. This is Ryan," trying to keep my voice steady, professional. But all I heard on the other end was silence, not even static, just this heavy, empty quiet that didn't feel like a disconnected line. It felt like someone was there, listening, and I pulled the headset slightly away, checking if the call had dropped, but it was still active, the timer ticking up, and that's when I heard it, a faint sound, almost too quiet to register at first. Like breathing, slow and uneven, and my grip tightened on the edge of the desk as I leaned in again, telling myself it was probably just line noise, interference, something explainable. But then the breathing stopped, and a voice came through, low, strained, and unmistakably mine. "Don't answer the next one." And my stomach dropped instantly because it wasn't just similar. It was exactly my voice. Same tone, same slight rasp when I spoke too quietly, and I pulled the headset off completely, staring at it like it had just said something impossible, my heart starting to race as I glanced around the floor, half expecting someone to be watching me, but everyone else was focused on their own calls, heads down. Screens glowing faintly in the dim light. Nothing out of place. Nothing that explained what I had just heard. And when I looked back at the screen, the call had ended on its own. No disconnect tone. No click. Just gone. And I sat there for a moment, trying to process it, telling myself it had to be some kind of prank. Maybe a coworker spoofing numbers, recording my voice somehow. But that explanation didn't sit right. Not with the way it sounded. Not with the way it felt. And that's when I noticed something worse. The call log had already updated, showing the call duration as 0 seconds, like it had never happened at all. And I hovered the cursor over it, refreshing the system, but it stayed the same, completely blank, no record of the call I had just answered. And I leaned back in my chair, running a hand through my hair, trying to shake off the unease building in my chest, telling myself I was just tired. Maybe I had imagined the voice. Maybe I hadn't even heard what I thought I did. But then, the phone rang again, sharp and sudden, making me flinch, and when I looked down, the caller ID showed my number again. Same format, same digits, and I just stared at it, remembering what the voice had said, "Don't answer the next one." And for a second, I actually listened, letting it ring, my eyes fixed on the screen as the seconds passed. And then something strange happened. The ringing stopped. But the call didn't disappear. It just stayed there, active, the timer starting to count up even though I hadn't picked up. And that's when I noticed something worse. The audio. indicator showed movement, like someone on the other end was speaking, even though I hadn't connected the call. And slowly, against my better judgment, I put the headset back on, not answering, just listening. And at first, there was nothing. Just that same heavy silence. And then, I heard it again. My voice, clearer this time, more urgent. "You answered it already. It knows." And I felt a cold chill run through me as I ripped the headset off again. My chair scraping loudly against the floor, drawing a few glances from nearby coworkers, but I ignored them, standing up and stepping away from the desk, trying to get some distance from it, from whatever was happening. And that's when I noticed something else. My screen flickered briefly, just for a split second, and when it stabilized, the system clock in the corner read 3:12 a.m. again, the same time the first call had come in, and I frowned, checking my phone. But it showed 3:19, and I felt that unease deepen into something sharper, something closer to panic, because now it wasn't just the calls. Something was off with the system itself, and I walked over to the supervisor's desk, but it was empty. Chair pushed back slightly, like someone had left in a hurry, which was strange because there was always someone there during night shifts. And I picked up the desk radio, pressing the button as I said, "Hey, this is Ryan on floor 2. Anyone?" "Were..." But all I got back was static, low, and constant. And then faintly, beneath it, that same voice again, my voice. "Check your locker." And I froze, the radio still in my hand, because I hadn't told anyone about the call. No one should have known what was happening. And yet, whatever this was, it did. And I didn't want to follow that instruction. Every instinct told me to ignore it, to leave, to go back to my desk and pretend nothing was happening. But something else pulled at me. That need to understand, to confirm I wasn't losing my mind. So I walked down the hallway toward the lockers, the lights flickering slightly overhead. The sound of my own footsteps echoing louder than they should have. The rest of the building feeling strangely distant, like I had stepped into a different space entirely. And when I reached my locker, I hesitated for a moment, my hand resting on the handle, before pulling it open. And inside, sitting exactly where I had left it, was my phone. Except the screen was on, glowing faintly, and I knew I had turned it off before my shift. I always did. And as I stared at it, it buzzed suddenly, making me jump, and I picked it up slowly, my hands starting to shake as I looked at the screen. And what I saw made my stomach drop. It was an active call, with my workstation extension, and the call timer was already running. And that's when I noticed something worse. I could hear my own voice coming from the phone speaker, slightly distorted, saying, "You should
Have come back here," and I dropped the phone instinctively, stepping back as it hit the floor, the voice cutting out abruptly. And for a second, everything was silent again. And then, from somewhere deeper in the hallway, I heard footsteps. Slow and deliberate, not hurried, not confused, just steady, like someone walking with purpose. And I turned toward the sound, my heart pounding as I tried to see into the darker section of the corridor. But there was nothing there. Just shadows, stretching along the walls. And yet the footsteps continued, getting closer. And that's when I noticed something worse. They matched my own pace exactly when I moved. Stopping when I stopped, starting when I started. Like whatever was making them was sinking itself to me. And I felt that rising panic take over, pushing me to move, to get out. So I turned and started walking quickly back toward the main floor. But the footsteps followed, perfectly timed with mine, echoing just half a second behind. And when I broke into a run, they did too. Staying just out of sync enough to feel wrong, like a delayed reflection. And I didn't look back. I didn't want to see what was there. If anything was there at all. I just ran until I reached the main area. The lights brighter, the hum of computers louder. But something was off even there. The rows of cubicles looked the same, but the people weren't moving. They were all sitting still, perfectly still, staring at their screens. No talking, no typing, just frozen. And I slowed down, my breathing heavy, my eyes scanning the room. And that's when I noticed something worse. Every screen was showing the same thing. A call interface with my number displayed as incoming. And one by one, the headsets lifted. Not by hands I could see moving, but slowly, mechanically. Until every person in the room had their headset to their ear, and in unison, they spoke. All in my voice. You answered it, and that was enough. I turned and ran for the exit, not stopping, not thinking, just moving as fast as I could. Pushing through the doors and out into the parking lot, the cold air hitting me like a shock, grounding me just enough to keep going. I got into my car, fumbled the keys into the ignition, and drove away without looking back. Not even when my phone started ringing again in the passenger seat. Not even when I saw the caller ID light up with my own number one more time. And I quit the job the next day. Didn't try to explain. Didn't go back for anything I left behind. But sometimes, late at night, when my phone rings from an unknown number, I hesitate before answering, because a part of me is always wondering, if I pick up, will it still be me on the other end?